Hey everyone, today I'm going to rewind quite a bit back to those very early days and talk about a record that's remained a favorite, and that would be Civil Disobedience in A Few Hours of Madness. It's a great punk record, but more than that, I mean, it's a great listening experience. And I know I've said a few times in some of these videos, and certainly when I've talked to people, IRL about vinyl, but it's a listening experience, right? And what makes this such a great listening experience is, in our little subculture, bands love to use samples in their records, right? And we think of who are the Spaz, Charles Bronson, putting all these little couple second samples from movies or radio or talk shows or whatever, and often to humorous effect. But this remains the record that I think is like the gold standard of how to use samples, and it does it a little differently. It basically bookends the beginning and end of the record with this great sonic collage from movies. I think there's stuff maybe from the Twilight Zone, and it just creates like this ominous kind of like very tense setting to then go along with the music. And as you might expect, this is, for want of a better term, I guess you could call it like, crusty punk or whatever, but, very political. You see here, Havoc Records, Profane Existence, right? Like two of the big names. The themes, the lyrical themes on this record are maybe what you might expect from, the song titles, right? You got, Planet of the Fakes, We Walk by Faith, Not Sight, Manufactured Citizens, The Unavoidable Process. Honestly, the sort of misanthropic or like kind of, anti-human civilization stuff that's talked about here, it's really not that different from what Devo was talking about, or like what a band like All Out War talks about, right? I mean, basically that like man is kind of the, mankind is the arbiter of his own destruction here, and like this is a record that, I opened the liner notes here, and as someone, who, as when you buy records, sometimes you get spoiled. So like with this record, you have, there's an inner sleeve with all kinds of cool stuff. But there's also, and I just dropped it, there's also an insert, right? And the insert is where you get the lyrics. And again, I mean, very wordy. You know what I mean? And he says them pretty fast, but there's a lot of words here. But I mean, it's like infinitely quotable, Man hasn't been granted indefinite superiority. That's just a corrosive lie circumferencing the undeniable truth. Man is the creature that has perfected self-destruction. The growth of modernization walks hand in hand with de-evolution. You think a million years from now, someone will still speak of the noble race of Christ-like creatures that turn themselves to dust? I don't know, man. And then the song Manufactured Citizen. So why are we doing time in our only time to be in this prison they call the land of official business? I mean, it's just a great, the music's great, the lyrics are great. And again, as a listening experience, as like an 11-minute collection of punk songs, it's just really unparalleled. It remains a favorite of mine. And this was really a favorite to put on the turntable precisely because, the music was great, but really, the moment you drop the needle on the A side until the minute that, the record returned the arm back to you at the end of the B side, I mean, it was just like, it was spine tingling. They had a demo, which I think is good. I haven't listened to it in a while. They had an album after this, not good. One of the kind of, those great missed opportunities. As many have said, and as maybe I've even said, punk and hardcore, it's kind of an EP format, right? And I think like the number of incredible punk and hardcore 7-inches is countless. And writing an album is hard. Even if it's a 10-song, 12-minute album. I mean, putting 10 songs together, that's a lot of work. And I say that kind of facetiously, but also with some truth. But this remains a favorite, and this is another record that in 2025, I'm listening to Judge, I wear a Marauder shirt or whatever, and there's still very much this this political punk rock in my DNA for sure. And I'll leave you just with one final quote, but on the insert here. And remember, civil disobedience, what it means to us, any act of disobedience, because that is the most civil action that you can take today for yourself and others. So this is over 30 years ago, still true. Peace.